Hello, everyone. I'm sorry. This is Tom, the Lone Wolf Prepper, and I am doing some stuff right now on my channel, trying to get some things set here where I saw that before. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel, and we are going to be discussing Trump making himself look guilty and Trump making himself look guilty and the coming civil unrest that we may be enduring. I'm sorry, everybody. I am trying to sit there and get something set here, but now I can't. I don't know what the heck the problem is here. So I tell you what, this YouTube stuff. So anyway, I hope everybody's having a good evening. Yep, nobody's here yet, so hopefully I can, I don't know how to do this now. Wow, whatever, live chat summary. Anyway, I guess I can't figure out how to do it, so we'll have to go without that tonight. I'm trying to sit there and get a delay on my Drake SMFF. I don't know what that means. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good time. I tell you what, it's been one hot day today. One extremely hot day today. I mean, the dogs, they ain't gonna have nothing to do with this stuff. It's just dealing with Mother Nature. Anyway, okay. So I'm trying to figure out some stuff here on YouTube. Now I can't get it figured out. So, anyway, how did I do that before? There it is. There, I got it. I got the slow-mo on. So if I happen to get anybody in here who wants to be disruptive, they can be taken care of real easy. Sorry about the darkness. I don't know, my camera kind of does that sometimes. But anyway, hey, how's it going, Amanda? Good to see you. Hey, you want to be a moderator, Amanda? Want to be a moderator? Turn you into a moderator in case Joey comes back tonight. So I got chat set on one every minute, only one chat a minute. I had to put it on slow chat because I had to deal with Joey last night. He was getting awful crazy. I mean, liberal. So if you want to sit there and be a moderator, Amanda, if you want to put hey, and I will make you a moderator. And then what you got to do, if somebody makes a comment, all you got to do is press on that comment, the name of the person that made that comment, and it'll bring you to the screen where you can delete the message. But like I said, I got slow chat on now, so the delay chat on. So if he comes in here, it'll only be one comment a minute instead of one comment, 3 comments a second. So anyway, but let's get started. First, Trump looking guilty about the Epstein list thing. I mean, they're in the cabinet. They're having their cabinet meeting with the press there and stuff. And somebody asks a legitimate question. And what's he do? He gets all upset with the reporter. Now, isn't a reporter's job to sit there and investigate the news, go follow leads and stuff? And Trump just, asked Pon Bondi, and then Trump's like, oh, I'll take care of this. And then she puts this stupid-ass smirk on her face. They're hiding shit. Okay, and then jumps down the reporter's throat. Is that what you're going to do now, Trump? You know the reason they're asking the question, Trump, is because we know you're lying through your teeth. Okay, we all know this. Everybody with half a brain knows there was an Epstein client list, just like a P. Diddy client list. And then you acted all defensive. That was awful defensive you were acting. Still asking about Jeffrey Epstein? Really? Children being sex trafficked isn't something that needs to be talked about every day? And then, I'm sorry, watching the video you two from years ago, see, Trump, you even admit it. that you knew Epstein was up to no good. I think he put it a different way, but he distanced himself from Epstein because he knew Epstein was not a great guy. But what did Trump do about it? Nothing. Nothing. Do you think he was protecting the children that Epstein was sitting there messing with? Trump did nothing. Knew about it and did nothing. All these people, if they weren't guilty because they actually did the stuff, they're guilty because they knew about it. They were complicit with the crime. And that's a crime too. But all I know is if Trump's going to go off on a reporter like he did, really? Like I say, he looked so guilty when he did that. I am on the Epstein list, and so is my German Shepherd. Really? Well, how's that going there, buddy? So this is what you got to deal with. Sitting there, we're talking about children being sex trafficked, and you got stupid-ass liberals on here making retarded comments. How are we ever going to solve these nation's problems? That's why I don't know. What's the matter? You can't come back right away? That's how you got to deal with these little pricks. You know, I never want to shut anybody up. Ever. Okay? Never. But you know what? This is a platform to come on to have a conversation. Like if you were to walk into a room with a bunch of strangers, is that the attitude you would have? Is that the attitude you think would welcome you into the room? I'm just curious. I may be different now. Maybe I need to come into a room hooking and jabbing. I'm not sure. But whatever. Whatever, you know, you got to throw an insult out there because that's the only way you can communicate. I hate to be living your life. But let's get back to Trump looking guilty as sin. And then Pam Bondi, like I say, she just turned her head there and Okay, here. Amanda, I am making you a moderator. Right? So you can blue wrench these bastards. Okay. Anyway. Shit, where'd you go? There you are. There we go. There we go. You are a moderator now, Amanda. You have a blue wrench. Like I say, I got it on a minute delay, so they can only do one message a minute, so you should be able to delete them real quick. That's what I should have done for Carol last night. She had quite the time. You know, but I'm still learning this new thing. You know, I thought today we could, you know, in today's world, you could come on social media and have an intelligent conversation, and it would, you know, if my words bother you to the point where you got to be an obnoxious fool, then leave. Okay? If you're not able in your life to have an intelligent conversation with somebody to solve problems, well, then you don't need to be here. Anyway, this is what you have. You know, it's amazing too with Trump. You don't hear one Democrat complaining, no Hollywood movie stars. No list, right? What about that woman that, you know, Australia that killed herself, right? But observe over moderating takeaway conversation. Yeah, exactly. But I'm not going to deal with children here. If you can't bring your disagreement with me in an intelligent way that's not sounding like a child or somebody who's in elementary or junior high, I'm not dealing with that shit. I haven't been in school for over 40 years, and I'm not going to sit there and come back to it on this platform because we got a bunch of adult children in this world. I'm done with it. I don't have to accept it. This is my channel. But I hate having to, you know what a moderator is? A moderator is a babysitter for stupid-ass liberals that want to come on here and sit there and create hate and discontent. And you can say, well, it could be a conservative, could be a libertarian, whatever. I doubt if it's a conservative. Because, you know, conservatives are the most tolerant people there are, really. Because we keep our mouth shut. You know, what problems did we cause Biden? We all kept our mouth shut and went to work for the next 4 years. Except the liberals who did because they were scared they might get a little sick. But keep scrolling if you don't like the content people. This is the thing. Yeah, if you don't like the content, I'm talking about, see this thing. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, what color you are, what race you are. We're all in this sinking ship together, people. We're all going to be affected the same way. And for somebody to blame me for their hardships that the government's put on them, that ain't going to help it. Or you listen to your congressperson and telling you to hate your neighbor, that ain't going to do it. We need to come together like it was on September 12th, 2001. Everybody remember that? Everybody loved each other, no matter what political party you were affiliated with, no matter what color you are, no matter what race you were, no matter what sex you were, no matter what your sexual orientation was. Nobody cared because we were all Americans that day. And now 24 years later, we want to shoot each other. I wonder if the politicians had anything to do with that. Anyway, but Trump, until he comes out with that list, and they say, well, yeah, he's on the list because he was on that plane and stuff. Yeah. All I know is if Trump did participate, he knew about it, did nothing about it, and to me, that makes him guilty of all the children that were victimized by him after Trump found out what was going on. Anyway, let's not forget that Trump didn't mind visiting prostitutes. A man who can sit there and have a woman falling at his feet wherever he goes, and he had to go invest in prostitutes. Anyway, he looked guilty when he jumped on that reporter's throat. He looked guilty. I think he knows something about it, and that's for sure. Yeah, he does know. He even admitted, like I say, he said he distanced years ago. I distanced myself from Jeffrey Epstein because I knew he wasn't on the up and up. Oh, yeah, he knew. They all knew. I mean, how many fucking buddies of Trump's do you think did indulge in Epstein's little flesh pleasure island? But anyway, like I say, we're going to keep asking about it because we know he's lying through his teeth. The only thing I got to say about the whole thing, if there's really an Epstein Island, which sounds like there was, nobody's denying it didn't exist, why didn't they send the Marines in? Is it because all the politicians are connected with it that control the military? Because if I was president, I knew that shit was going on, that island would have been raided. I mean, he don't have a problem. Trump don't have a problem going after these illegals, which I'm happy for. About goddamn time. But I go into something else about this work program he wants. But for the other stuff, you're going to let these criminals off? These criminals, I mean, there's people coming into this country illegally. Yeah, they need to be dealt with the way the law says. But these other ones that are on these lists, I mean, they're heinous people. They're just absolutely horrible people. They're the epitome of how evil a human being can get. I mean, I would put them up there with Dr. Mengele, Heinrich Himmler. Okay? Anyway, this is what I mean. This is what you deal with. All you got to do is tap on their name, Amanda, and the screen will come up and you just put delete, okay? Because this is, I mean, I'm talking about child sex trafficking, and you got morons in here making sexually retarded statements. Sick and twisted bastards. People, that guy would probably like to be a victim on Epstein Island, as long as he can have them do a chain gang on his ass. Fucking sickness. Sickness. But Trump don't want to do nothing about it because there's no list. Epstein just acted on his own, had billions of dollars in cash in his apartment with no business. But he never blackmailed any. Who pays in cash? Extortion and blackmail. Okay? But let's not add the dots because it may come to that. Oh, the truth is everybody in Washington, I mean, okay, it would decapitate so many governments all over the world and royalty if they let that list out. And this is the pressure Trump is getting. It's not just from us Americans to release it because he's getting, a lobbyist has more pull in our government than the American voter. We'll all admit that. What do you think it's like when he's got world leaders and royalty and princes from Saudi Arabia and shit? Don't release it. You can't release it. Well, you better wear your seatbelt, buddy. You better make sure all your lights work on your vehicle. You better make sure you have insurance. You better make sure you don't jaywalk. Okay? But that's the world we live in. By the way, Trump, until you come out with that list that says somehow exonerates you, I feel I'll treat you just like the justice system treats everybody else now these days. Guilty until proven innocent. And you're acting guilty, buddy. Guilty. Deal with it. And you're going to say, I tell you what, if I would have been that reporter and you would have started jumping down my throat, the first thing I'd say, what the hell you got to hide? I would have interrupted the president and said, what the hell do you got to hide? Even if they would have escorted me out of the building. All I know is I have to tell the truth. I have to be an honest person. It's the way I was brought up, and it's just the easiest way to live your life. Then you're not sweating bullets like everybody else is, hoping the hell that list don't come out. Anyway, that's enough on that. Now let's talk. At this point, I'm not on any side. Red, blue, they're both corrupt. Yeah, they're the wings of the same bird. That's why I'm a constitutional conservative. Okay? Obviously, I'm not happy with any party. See, I was told this back in the 90s when I got out of the Marine Corps and I had a chip on my shoulder and I started getting into politics, and I was told by a congressman, all the party cares about the presidency about is to sit there and they get to be in control of how the money's spent the next 4 years. And that's what happens. Trump's still spending money just like Biden. He's just spending it on stuff that Republicans find important. I can't help anything thinking something is wrong and not being honest only makes people think the worst. The thing is, did you ever let your children lie to you? When your children were lying to you, you called them on it. You knew they were lying to you. I mean, this is the thing with kids. You could watch them do something and say, hey, come over here. And they deny that they just did what you just saw them do. No, we weren't allowed to be that way when I was kids. Okay, not say kids don't like to tell lies, but we were always called on it. All right, you just learned to tell the truth. It was easier that way. The punishment was a lot less. Then I just lived a life where look at where lies have got us. It's got us to the country we are living in now. You can't even tell the truth anymore because it may upset somebody's feelings. You got to tell them what they want to hear. And then you got somebody like me who says, fuck that. Nobody ever cared about my feelings growing up or when I was in the Marine Corps, nothing like that. They always told me what was on their mind. I'm going to treat them the same way. If you're so thin-skinned that you can't hear the truth, okay, like I say, like the saying I heard from the liberals on their first No Kings protest, morality before reality. So that means they will accept their immorality and live in their unrealistic world and admit that there is a reality that they don't want to live in. And the person who said it thought they were so smart. No, he just basically said that you live in your fantasy world, the Twilight Zone, wherever your morality takes you. Okay, that's the reality you live in. Well, the rest of us live in real reality. And that's one thing, talk about people that have been in the service. There's nothing like a dose of reality when you're in the service. So I'm not going to sit there and try to Oh, hey, Joey. How's it going? Glad you showed up. Have little problems, Joey? Can't get another message in? Hey, don't worry. Just got to wait a minute. But you know the best thing? You'll sit there and make my analytics better. You get to hang around and don't leave, please. Because you only got to wait a minute to sit there and put your stupid comment in again. And then I like the way you raise my analytics. Oh, Joey. Oh, okay, Joey. Go again, Joey. Yeah, I tell you what, Amanda. If you can figure out how to totally get him out of the chat, get him erased. Carol couldn't figure that out last night, but Joey, I tell you what, he's a work of art. There is a liberal. There is somebody when there's no food in the grocery stores no more and electricity goes out. Well, let's just say Joey might be shitting his pants. He probably wears Depends anyway. But anyway, let's not get into that. Anyway, one thing I want to get asked real quick. This channel will never ask for money or sell anything or take donations. If you want to support the channel, hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification so you can come back and listen to my other stuff. Check out the other content on my channel and share it if you would, please. Because some of it, we got a world of hurt coming up. Okay, these Democrats are flat out saying they want war. They need to sacrifice themselves. I mean, it's crazy. The politicians saying this. They're calling for insurrection publicly, for civil unrest because of Trump this, Trump that. So far, hi, how's it going? But they're calling for civil unrest. I don't get the point where these Call of Duty warriors, the whole world just feels like we just entered the Twilight Zone. It's like they are speaking in foreign languages. I got my mouth slapped when I got caught lying. Exactly. This is the thing. I don't know how old you are. I'm 57. I'll be 58 next month. But it's like we live in a totally different, the Twilight Zone. I say it all the time. And in the Twilight Zone, the main character who lives in reality is in the Twilight Zone is losing his mind. Well, everybody around saying, yeah, this is normal. This is normal. No, Joey will be one of those who will try to steal from others because he is a self-righteous in his attitude that everyone owes him. Yeah, I know. But what do you expect? He's probably in his 20s or early 30s, been brought up in the entitlement mentality, probably lives in his mom's basement. His mom still completely takes care of him. See, this is the thing. If liberals would set goals, not crazy goals like, hey, let's get it so men can get married, not goals like that, but set goals that make them better, make them feel proud of themselves. Okay, and this is one reason why these people want us to accept all this stupid shit, because they don't approve it of themselves. As long as I can get somebody else to approve it, I'm good to go. Hello, and thank you for your service. I'm in the 40s. Can you believe what the country has become? I know. Like I say, my first three and a half years in the Marine Corps was when Ronald Reagan was in office, okay? And then when I got out, Bill Clinton was in office. Woo! That's why when I got out of the Marine Corps, I saw the writing on the wall back in 1994. That's how much it had switched from 85 to 94. It had changed that much. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just thought it would never get this far. But they have desensitized people so much and made them so dependent on the government. I mean, YouTube, look at a lot of commercials about get your free spending card. Jeepers Christ, at my age, with all the commercials I see on YouTube, I could be making $20,000 a month off the government for doing nothing. Where's all this money coming from? Okay, and then they, what's this one about funeral, getting $25,000 for your funeral and stuff. I gave it to my kids. Really, so you get $25,000 for funeral benefits before you die and give it to your kids. I'm 59 and I got my ass beat for looking like I was thinking about saying something to, I tell you what, it was different back then. But aren't you glad you grew up that way? Aren't you glad that you didn't have it easy and everybody catered to your feelings and didn't say anything to upset you and made sure you never got blisters on your hands? Now we see the difference. Well, hell, it wasn't too easy growing up, but I guess that's what happens when your parents got to turn you into an adult. It's not an easy job. And after we've all had kids and did our time in the trenches, raising our families, we know it's not an easy job. And it doesn't help when the government comes in and interferes with brainwashing your kids. The last thing a kid should do is come home from school and argue with their parents about what the teacher said. I mean, I remember one time my kids were in school. They all graduated now and stuff. They all have kids. But they were talking, they were telling me how great their teacher was telling them how great China was. And I looked straight at him. I said, do you realize if you were in China, you girls wouldn't be alive? And they looked at me like, what are you talking about, Dad? I said, everybody wanted a son there. A lot of daughters were killed at birth because they could only have one child. And then they would go to school and tell their teacher this. Well, what do you think the liberal ass bitch did? I mean, she actually reported me. But I lived in a different state. But she reported me because I told the truth. This is why this channel, Hidden Truths. There's always a hidden truth behind everything, especially when it comes to dealing with the government. Not a fan of AI either. I got videos on that. When I watched The Terminator back in the early 1980s, I didn't think that could be true. No way. Well, look at today's world. Human beings have got so lazy, we decided we'd rather make machines smarter than human beings. And where do you think our spot on the totem pole is going to be taken from? And this is the thing, when AI becomes self-aware and realizes it don't need us, when AI becomes self-aware, it's going to act like an impetuous, spoiled, immature little 5-year-old. I think it's going to have the wisdom and the knowledge or wisdom of an adult, the maturity of an adult. And don't forget, then they'll be in charge of our nuclear weapons. Terminator scared the hell out of me. But I never thought it'd come true. Now we got autonomous robots with weapons. I mean, remember that big attack that Ukraine did on Russia? They said AI took over determined the targets and stuff. What happens if AI determines you're the target and you happen to be driving a car that's hooked up to the internet and everything? Can you say going 150 miles around a 20-mile-an-hour curve? It's very dangerous, okay? Machines should not serve human beings in that way. I have to check that one out. Yeah, I did a few on AI. I tell you what, you have to go way down and stuff, but I've gone the other way of technology. That's why I'm on YouTube, right? And I'm having problems because I'm trying to figure out. I want to dress up my studio and stuff, right? Actually, see, they're right there. I was thinking, what would happen? Robots taking over, AI taking jobs. Yeah, that's another thing. If you're in a job where you basically don't sweat, you don't get your hands dirty, stuff like that, your job's gone. Now, I work in a recession-resistant job. I do jobs illegals won't even do, okay? Doing the fencing, these pastures and stuff. All I could see is a robot. It's a robot trying to sit there and herd cows down the lane. Those cows would see that robot and take that son of a bitch out like no tomorrow, okay? Because those cows would know that wasn't a thinking being. That's one thing when I'm working with cows and other animals, they all know I'm a thinking being. I know they're a thinking being. And then when you work around them enough, you tend to understand each other, you might say. I mean, you work with a herd of cattle for a couple of years, You're just on the same page. You're working cows. I just have to open the gate and they walk in. Close the drum and they walk in. There's no way a robot can do that. So I suppose they could make a robot so you wouldn't need a four-wheeler or a horse to collect cows. I suppose you can make a robot that could run at the speed you need, but whatever. Yeah, AI is freaking scary. I don't like it. I don't like that we're trying to make machines smarter as we're making our kids dumber. It's not the right way to go. Thoughts on Islam? I don't want to talk about religion. Okay? I'm not going to get into religion on this subject because it's just a subject that causes hate and discontent. I like any religion that teaches moral values of love your neighbor, but you don't have to take care of him. Love your neighbor, but you don't have to take care of his welfare. That's his job. Okay? And if, God is one that you don't have to, if you don't believe him, that's fine. He's not going to kill you. He's not going to send somebody else out to kill you. Anyway, that's all I got. And one thing I got to say about it, if somebody thinks heaven is 72 virgins, oh my God. Obviously, you didn't experience my marriages. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that. You brought up the question. Anyway, now back to the civil unrest they want, and politicians calling for it, and these people. Do these people on the other side realize they're Call of Duty warriors? They don't know the first thing about tactics, running equipment, working as a group to fight a war? Political opinion, I'm a constitutional conservative. So both parties are fucked up. I'm a Marine that took an oath to support the Constitution. Not the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, the Constitution. And I'll hold my oath for that, okay? And that's one thing. I'm no longer picking from the lesser of two evils. When I see a politician come out that doesn't never say democracy, but knows what kind of government we have and starts talking about the constitutional republic we have and how to better our constitutional republic, okay? That'll be a start. You know why we have a problem in this country? Because we keep trying to change our constitutional republic into a democracy. And then now, but let's not forget, see, we have one constitutional republic in this country. One. But we got two democracies. We got the democratic democracy and the Republican democracy, right? So for 4 years, you're the sheep, and the next 4 years, you're the wolf. Or maybe you get 8 years out of it. So like I say, when I actually see a politician that knows what even form of government we have, that'll be a start. But these yahoos we got in Washington, well, our president just proved that he's either really scared after they put a bullet through his ear, or he's a coward and doesn't care about the American people. And they say there's no list. So you said you're going to release the list on day one. That was a campaign promise. Really. But the list doesn't exist. False campaign promise, kind of like Joe Biden and student loan forgiveness, huh? Let's see here. Anyway, thank you for your service. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, but you know what? I got a feeling a lot more people in America are going to be serving. You know, the Patriots, this ain't going to end without bullets flying. And that's the sad part about it. It would be nice if we'd have a peaceful, giving the power back to the people. But it's not going to happen. Even if the politicians wanted to give the country back to the people, the big money is not going to allow it. The greedy bastards running everything are not going to allow it. They're not going to take a back seat to us at all. Anyway, and Trump 2028 and more, please. No. See? In the Constitutional Republic, got to follow laws. Trump can't run in 2028. But if we adopt a democracy, yeah, Trump can run in 2028. Do you know who his running mate would be? Any guesses? Somebody put in the chat who they think, if Trump ran in 2028 for a third term, who his opponent would be? Because I know exactly who it would be. Any guesses? I'll give it a minute. Greed will be our downfall. I know. And the thing is, it's all over a piece of freaking paper. Nobody's ever greedy about what's important in life. You know, nice to see folks are realizing who the true enemy is. Yeah. And once all these people realize that we're all on a sinking Titanic together, no matter what your political affiliation is. See, it don't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. If you're a voter, they want you in the same concentration camp. Maybe everybody can get along then. I wonder. Okay, well, we haven't had an answer on who Trump's 2028 candidate who his opponent would be. It's easy. If they allowed Trump to run for a third term, Barack Obama would be his opponent. And I don't believe Trump can beat Barack Obama. So if you want Trump to run in 2028, you're basically saying, how long do I want Barack Obama as my president? See, that's just the truth. Not that I like it. I don't like saying that, but that's the truth. So maybe the Republicans should stop saying this stupid shit. Personally, I want J.D. Vance. You know why? Because he started out his adult life just like I did, in those little yellow footprints at boot camp. Got out the Marine Corps and NCO just like I did. Now, I would like to know J.D. Vance's take on this no Epstein list. You know, I just love to hear what he has to say about it. Because if he's a true hearted jarhead, it's got to be eating him alive. No, the amendment would be that he hadn't served 2 terms in a row. You can't serve a third term. No, you can only serve 2 terms. Okay? You know, it's not where you can serve 2 terms, get out for 4 years, and then go back and do another 2 terms. That's not the way it is. All right? And if you expect me to go for Trump 2028, I would have to see the Epstein list. I'm so sick and tired of this 2-tier justice system. If you're rich enough or high enough in society, you're allowed to get away with the most criminal act. And do you think they're going to, now that the Epstein list doesn't exist and nobody gets exposed, do you think they're going to start behaving themselves? They're just going to get worse. You don't punish a child for doing naughty. Does it get better? The proposed amendment I'm talking about. Proposed amendment. Yeah, but see, we don't want Trump 2028 because then, like I say, we'll have Obama for the next 40 years until they put him in the ground. You don't know how close this country, I mean, we got a lot of patriots and stuff, but, you know, we don't want to do anything. We went through 4 years of Biden and the pandemic and all this other shit, and we did nothing. Nothing. What's it going to take for Americans to finally stand up and take up arms like they did in 1775? People are like, oh, you mean 1776? No. Lexington Concord was in April of 1775. Okay? The Battle of Bunker, what should be Breed's Hill, was after the Declaration of Independence. Anyway, heat of the summer. But why am I second guessing myself on that now? I don't know. Sometimes I got so many facts run through my brain. The proposed amendment, if you serve 2 terms in a row, you cannot try. If there was a gap, that's bullshit. See, the Republicans are just trying to change the rules like the Democrats do to suit them. How the hell as a Republican can you sit there and bitch what the Democrats do when we're doing the same shit? You know, Republicans are fine with us adding to the deficit now. Really? That's why I'm a constitutional conservative. I follow the Constitution. I know what it says. And I know neither party follows it. Hell, they don't even know we live in a constitutional republic. They all think we live in a democracy. Anyway, so I guess if we live in a democracy, since we all hate white men like me now, we can just make all white men slaves, can't we? I mean, if we lived in a democracy, instead of the Nuremberg laws against Jews, we just could pass, I don't know, the January 6th laws against all patriots and white people, right? You know, the government can sit there and pass, you know, you cannot, I made it short about this. You can pass all the laws, but you can't make a criminal somebody to obey the law. But all it takes is the government, the legislature, to pass a few laws to make a law-abiding citizen a criminal. And that's what they do. I mean, when the ATF said, oh, no bump stocks, or what are the trigger mechanism deal, making people felons right away after they had it. Really? Is that how it goes in this country? That's taking rights for you. Like I said, all I know is I got a government that does not understand what shall not be infringed means and says there's no Epstein list, and doesn't know what no foreign entanglements means. But hey, it's us paying for it. Just go to work so they can keep paying for it. That's as long as we're paying for it. We need to have a tax strike where every business, everybody refuses to pay taxes to the government. Get them on their knees in a couple days. But you can't get Americans to band together like that. Anyway, crazy times, everybody. Crazy times. But they want to start their civil unrest, going against vets and patriots. Vets. Millions and millions of us vets. And we're going to come out of the woodwork. Because you know what? We want to take our country back against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And right now in this country, our domestic enemy let the foreign enemy in through our borders. This is the world we live in. You know, do you want to be the next family that suffers from these illegals? That loses a daughter, that gets raped and murdered? That loses somebody they love, that gets in an accident on the highway because one of these illegals is drunk or whatever, don't know our traffic laws and kills them? Okay? You know, a lot of Americans' problems that our politicians have created, a lot of Americans, it has come to their front door already. Okay? But I guess we got to wait till it comes to more people's front door. It doesn't help either that social media is so one-sided. I hate echo chambers. A social media platform should not be based on the bias of the owner of the platform. If you don't like hearing things that you don't agree with, then you shouldn't be in the social media platform business. Okay? And some of this stuff that's being promoted on social media, that spurs a lot of this civil unrest. I mean, I saw one guy on there, black guy, screaming about alligator Alcatraz, how there's no air conditioning, it's just da-da-da, this, that, and the other thing. It's 62 degrees in there in Florida. You know, this is the thing. All they got to do is leave, okay? Like I say, if you come into somebody's house and they don't want you there, and you get the impression and the feeling they don't want you there, you leave. And if you don't, you get picked up by the belt and scruff of the neck and you get thrown out. Okay? So we got smart illegals that are leaving, and then we got the stubborn son of a bitches that need to be thrown out. And I think we're doing it real politely. I think they ought to let the American people help out. And, we can get rid of this illegal immigration in a week with a lot less money. I'm pretty sure that they have standard out for most investigations. You're talking about illegals? Yeah. And then now talking about this, now Trump's talking about this work program. Let some of them stay here that are working in restaurants and hotels and agriculture. I'm so sick of it. I work in agriculture. I don't have a problem getting my hands dirty. I don't have a problem sweating, getting dirty all day, okay? I don't have a problem with none of that stuff. I don't need somebody to sit there and help feed me. But whatever, and Trump's talking about that. I'm sick and tired of competing for jobs with these people. And believe it or not, they get paid more than we do. Anyway, but don't worry. Everything's going to get better, right? Civil unrest for that. You know what? When us vets come out and have to protest, it's going to be called war. And we will take care of the problem. And after we take care of the illegal immigrators into this country, then we're going to deal with the people who caused the problem, the people who think we live in a democracy, the people who want to spread hate and discontent, like Jacqueline Crockett or AOC. These people says she grew up the way she did, nothing but a spoiled little rich bitch. Okay? Hey, I tell you what, Amanda, you're doing a great job tonight. Be here tomorrow night. All I can give you is a thank you for now. But I tell you what, if the channel grows and start making money, I don't expect my moderators to work for free. Especially when you got to deal with liberals. But you're doing an awesome job tonight, Amanda. That's one, you can't have a chat with these, like Joey's not back. Really, Joey? Finally, Maya got rid of him. But see, I don't like I say, a moderator is just a babysitter for people that can't come in and behave like adults. Then you got to get sent to your room. Get your ass spanked and sent to your room. I'll try. I will. Yeah. Well, whenever you can, you don't even have to stay for the whole thing. Just to help out. As long as I got it on the 60 seconds too, it's just I don't watch the chat all the time. And if people ask a question, you can probably, you can answer their questions too, being a Blue Wrench. So anyway, but I appreciate everything you're doing. I say I'm just trying to get the word out. And this is the childish behavior we have to deal with. I mean, I would have never let my kids act like Joey, okay? And I had girls, believe me, I had problems. But to act immature and try to create hate and discontent and get pleasure out of it, what the hell's happened to human beings? Like I say, they could sit there and turn these MMA fights into gladiator fights, where the last one standing is a live one. And people would sit there and cheer that on these days. You think I'm joking? We are following so much in the footsteps of Rome. And one thing about Rome had 4 civil wars. And every one was more bloodier than the next one. And this is the thing. The longer we wait to solve this problem, the bloodier it's going to be. But it's time to spank these children. Come out and protest. They're not even citizens of this country. I'm so sick and tired of these liberals saying, you're not, their constitutional rights. They don't have any constitutional rights. They're here illegally. They're not American citizens. And you definitely don't have any constitutional rights. Well, during the time you're breaking the law. I don't even know what they're teaching in school no more. But when these people think illegal immigrants have constitutional rights, like I say, well, then the Constitution just says, must cover everybody in the world, right? Everybody in the world is covered by the Constitution. We'll just make Trump king of the world. And then he can cancel elections like Zelensky, and we can call ourselves a democracy. All you people that want to live in a democracy, I don't want to live in a Republican or a Democratic democracy. So if you're a Democrat, you want to live in a Republican democracy. If you say no, then you can't have your Democrat democracy. You get stuck with a constitutional republic, a government that is handcuffed by the document that gives it the authority. It handcuffs them too. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. I appreciate everybody being here. Like I say, if you want to support the channel, never ask for money or sell anything. I hate those channels that sound like infomercials. But anyway, if you want to hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button, and the bell notification so you can be back for my next stuff, and share my content. Okay? Even the people that you may think don't like it. Okay? That's all right. Because it don't matter. Like I say, we're all on a sinking ship. And you still got the people that are listening to the band play as the Titanic's sinking, being lulled away. Everything's still fine. The band's playing. Okay, well, the rest of them are woke up and see, oh my God, ship's halfway underwater already. Some people just need a little bit more of a drastic thing to happen for them to wake up. I don't know why that is, but they get too comfortable in their life and they don't like to deal with stuff that may pull them away from their comfort zone. Anyway, but there's going to be a lot of things. We have bombs falling in this country. A lot of people are going to be yanked out of their comfort zone. So anyway, Amanda, pride has become more important than the nation itself, just like what happened back in the other nations that we no longer hear, that are no longer, yeah. You know, pride goeth before a fall. Anyway, there I go quoting scriptures. Anyway, everybody hang in there. Like I say, we're going to get through this, but it's going to get hairy, okay? And we allowed this to happen, so we have nothing but ourselves to blame. I wish we would have done something back in 94 when I got out of the Marine Corps and saw all this stuff happening. I wish back then we would have solved the problems of our country before they got 30 years later when they're just absolutely terrible. But all I know is Trump's lying through his teeth about the Epstein files, protecting whatever. All I know is I have no respect for the federal government no more. I have respect for the Constitution, the American people, the hardworking American that understands our values and our culture. Okay? So, anyway, but it's crazy time. Like I say again, support the channel, hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification. And I will be back tomorrow again at 8 o'clock. I appreciate my moderator, Amanda, being here. And it was a lot better chat today when Joey got basically kicked out. Amanda, you did great. So everybody have a great night. And we're all going to make it through this. But you know what? Sometimes you need to let us crazy-ass Marines loose. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I got for tonight. This is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out of here.